All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Chris, and I am the Healthy Family Supervisor and also a home visitor here at Teen Parent Connection.
Hi, and my name is Emily, and I'm also one of the home visitors at TPC. And the Healthy Families program is a home visiting program where we meet with families sometimes prenatally or after the baby is born until their baby is 5 years of age. During our home visits, we cover all different sort of topics, including like baby blues, postpartum depression. We focus a lot on mental health. We also do family goal plans. We do safety checklists, and we do a lot of child development screenings and ASQs. We also really try and meet the families where they're at. So if a family is looking for housing or if they're looking for food resources, we try and connect them to different resources throughout our community. But Chris, can you go ahead and talk to us a little bit more about like the ASQs and the developmental questionnaires?
Of course. So one of the big aspects of the Healthy Families program, like Emily said, is that we do screenings of the ages and stages, and also the ages and stages social and emotional developmental screenings with our families and their children. Just to kind of see like where their kids are in their development, to help build a conversation with our participants to kind of understand where their child can kind of be at, and then also to what the parent can do to help promote further development. We administer the ASQ, every 3 to 4 months in the first year, and then usually then it becomes every 6 months. And then what we do is that we work with the family. It's a play-based assessment. And one of the big things that we find helpful in completing these screenings is, like I've said before, to help understand where their child is at their development, but also to what the parent can do along with the help of their home visitor to help promote the development to be typical or where that they could be. For also sometimes we notice during our administration that maybe the child may just not even know that they can do that experience yet, or that they don't have that skill yet. And that's okay, because we're always learning about our development, and every kid kind of develops at their own rate. So what we do, if a child were to kind of score maybe a little bit below their development in different areas, what we do as the home visitor is that we talk to the parent about the results and like what we can do from that point on to help support their child's development. And that can range from referrals to community resources, to the state of Illinois early intervention program, but then also too kind of gives us clearance as understanding as the home visitor and the parent, what can we do specifically for this child to give them that boost that they may need. Mm-hmm. What we can also do is provide activities to help improve development. So typically in the Healthy Families program, we would have done our ages and stages in person, because it gives us a really good, clear understanding of where the participant may understand where their child is at, and kind of gives us clues about the quality of their parent-child interaction, and kind of helps us, support the parent in improving that. And then COVID happened. And so I'm wondering, Emily, if you can kind of tell us, like, what did the Healthy Families program do to kind of creatively transition to respond to that need because of COVID?
When COVID hit, we had started working from home. So I'm currently in my basement right now. Sometimes I'm at my dining room table. That just kind of depends on the day. But we've basically been doing everything virtually with our families. So sometimes I'm doing phone calls. It's a lot of FaceTimes and a lot of Zoom calls as well. The other day when I was doing a Zoom call with one of my families, the baby was smiling and she goes, "Oh, she knows your voice." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so awesome," because I've actually never met the baby or the mom in person, but it just goes to show that keeping in constant contact, each week with each other, that we do get to still build that relationship. And even the babies are building that relationship with us too. So.
Yeah, and even kind of thinking too, it makes me think of how, you're as a home visitor, we're kind of like almost a peer model too with our participants that like, yeah, even just talking to your child is going to improve their, speech and language, social development. And even if it's over the phone, there's still an impact of that.
Absolutely. I've done lots of story times too, like virtually with babies and toddlers. So it's been fun. When we do things over Zoom, it is really nice because I can share the screen. So if we are doing an ASQ, they're looking right at it as well. Or it's another good way to just share the screen if we're talking about like, if I'm showing them videos on different development, like actually pretty recently I was doing an ASQ and baby scored a little bit lower with gross motor skills. So we pulled up a really good online resource, and it focused on having baby roll over, and it was really helpful for the mom to see it and be able to visualize it. And then the next week she was like, oh my gosh, guess what, she's rolling over. So that was really nice because she was still actually able to like see it even though we weren't in person.
And I bet you were also there too to kind of like answer any questions that she may have had, or even to like just kind of process what that information was being provided in that video.
Yes, exactly. So we've basically been, still been going since COVID. It's just everything's been virtual. Hopefully now that like it's getting a little bit warmer outside, we can start doing some outdoor socially distanced, home visits and stuff that way. But yeah, it's been nice to still continue our services just in a different way.
Well, and you made, bringing up that activity kind of made me think of, how did we have to kind of adapt to, because, when we have our screening, we get some good information, but then our role as the home visitor along with the parent is to kind of do like, okay, so what can I do or how can I support my child's development? And pre-COVID times, we would be in the home, we could provide, activities, we can bring supplies and, kind of work hands-on with the parent to help promote, improved parent-child interactions. So now with COVID, we had to get kind of creative and, kind of think outside of the box on what we can do. So sometimes what I know that we have done, and I know you've mentioned before too, through the video, using, using technology to kind of help, branch that, support that we usually provide in person. But I know sometimes too, as the home visitor, sometimes we would even like drop off activities from our supplies from our parents' pantry. Or even too, we had printed things off here in the office and packaged it and did, like a socially distanced drop off. Participant would take those supplies and then we would actually have the activity over a Zoom session. Just great to see how, we can adapt as a program to still meet the needs of our participants in the limited ways that are kind of thrown against us with COVID.
So it's nice because it's like, who doesn't like getting something dropped off at their door and then something that can also entertain the kids and help them developmentally as well.
Yeah, that makes me think too of the time around Mother's Day, I think it was, that we created Mother's Day self-care packets as well, because we know, like, of course, with the impact of development, the parent or the caregiver is very, like one of the main drives of promoting our child's development. But if you as a parent are not feeling, fulfilled or well rested or whatnot, you're not going to be able to provide that. To the best of what you potentially can. So I loved how we, over time too, were like, oh, well, self-care is still very important for our parents in our program. So what can we do to kind of adapt that?
And I know like COVID's been so hard on everybody, but especially our families. And so it's like the need for our services, I think, are just more important now than ever because of everything else going on. It's like being a young parent was already hard. Being a parent in general is hard, but then you do it during a pandemic with maybe some more, limited resources or, resources that are changing due to the circumstances. It's just so nice that like, in some way our doors have still stayed open and we've been able to still provide support.
Right. And even, having this improved technology and, how our parents and their children have been, almost like homebound for the past year, being able to at least have this technology to accommodate through Zoom, FaceTime, or even a phone call, there's still a way that we're working with our families, that they are receiving support and that there is somebody there outside of their support network. to help them promote, their child's development and have access to whatever support that they may need.
And, I think in some ways too, it's kind of changed the way we're going to do home visiting going forward. If obviously I'm sick or a family is sick, then we can be like, you know what, let's do it over Zoom this week because we're not feeling well, instead of skipping that week entirely.
Yeah, Emily, it really kind of like makes me truly appreciate, and I have a whole sense of gratitude that our community has still been able to provide support for us, so we can support our families in such a trying times during the pandemic.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful for all of our donors too, especially to be able to keep the pantry running and open during this time. I know our families have been utilizing this like now more than ever. Your continued support means so much to all the staff at Teen Parent Connection, but to all of our families. And we've been able to witness firsthand the impact that the people who support us make.